Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. If you're planning your future here in Australia, this is a discussion you do not want to miss out on. So, today we'll be talking about the skill assessment, a term which many of you might have heard about. And as always, we have our pleasure of having our in house registered migration agent here today with us to bring us professional insights and help answer important questions regarding the skill assessment process and how it works. So, to begin with, what is a skill assessment and why is it required?
Thank you, Jimmy. Hi, everybody. Uh, skills assessment is a process by which one gets his skills, his qualifications, his work experience assessed by the assessing authority. And why is it required? For Australian skill migration visas, it is an integral part for visas like the Skill Independent Visa 189 and others. Without a skills assessment, you can't really participate in that visa program.
So, who conducts a skill assessment in Australia?
So there are a lot of occupations. In fact, there are hundreds and hundreds of occupations on the skill occupation list. So VETASIS is one of the key skills assessing authority for a lot of occupations. From memory, if I remember, it could be in hundreds. They are assessing a lot of occupations, and both at the professional level as well as the lower levels. Now, Trade Recognition of Australia is also assessing a lot of occupations, primarily at the trade level, like carpentry, mechanic, etc. And there are others like Engineers Australia, and depending on the occupations, there are a lot of assessing authorities. But I think VETASIS is the biggest one, which does a lot of occupations. Yeah.
So, how do I know which assessing authority applies to my occupation?
Sure. So the Department of Home Affairs has the occupations listed in the sense that it comes from a legislative instrument. They have the medium and long-term strategic skills list. They have the regional occupation list. They have the short-term skill occupation list. So all these occupations are listed in terms of those categories. And then you have an assessing authority that is mentioned in those areas where they can do the assessment. For example, if you're a civil engineer, you would have like Engineers Australia listed there, and likewise for other occupations. Yeah.
So, can all occupations undergo a skill assessment, and is it advisable to obtain one?
So most of the occupations are there. So as long as those occupations are there, you can get a skills assessment as long as there's an assessing authority identified. And going back to your second part of the question, you say, is it advisable to get one? Now, there are certain occupations that may be there in that skill occupation list, but depending on where it sits in that list. For example, if it is not in the medium and long-term strategic skills list, it is not eligible for certain visas. So now you need to know where you stand. Now, if you have an occupation in the list, but then the visa opportunities are pretty much restricted, like as in some of the regional occupation lists, you would not have an opportunity to participate in the Skill Independent Visa 189. If your occupation is there, so you don't have an opportunity to participate in 189, and you're like, if I get my skills assessed, even if it's positive, but I don't get that opportunity to participate. So you might like not be tempted to do, and you just don't do skill assessment for the sake of doing so. So you need to strategically check your occupation, check the visas that you're eligible, and if everything fits in well, then you do the skills assessment.
Okay, now I've heard that a skill assessment is not required for an employer sponsored related visa, such as the Skill in Demand 482 visa. Is that correct?
Well, it's partially correct and partially incorrect, because for the skills in demand visa 482, there's again another legislative instrument by which certain nationalities, like if you are from a certain country, for example, like Brazil, India, Philippines, and others. And if there are certain occupations, I remember carpenter and few other occupations. Now, if you're from Brazil, or if and you're a carpenter, and if because you're in that list, so there's a mandatory skills assessment requirement. So you can't escape that because of that. Now, if, for example, Bhutan, if we take example of our country, it is not there on the list, so you're exempted from doing skills assessment. But see, that being said, now say you're again, let's go back to the same example, civil engineer. uh, Somebody wants to sponsor you for a 482 visa. Though there is no mandatory skills assessment required, if you can get your skills assessed, it adds value to your application. It shows that your skills have been assessed, but it is not mandatory, so you may choose not to do so.
Okay. Now, do I need work experience or qualifications or both to obtain a positive skill assessment?
So the way it works is that certain occupations, certain skills assessing authority. Let's go to VETASYS, for example. Now, let's say you're getting assessed for an occupation of say environmental consultant. Now, if you look at that occupation, it is done by VETASYS, and VETASYS requirements is like you need to have like a bachelor's degree in a related discipline related to the environment. You also need to have like a 1 year of work experience. So see, it is not necessary that you should have work experience all the time. Sometimes for certain occupations, there are pre-qualification pathways also. For example, you could have, you could have a lower level qualification, not at a bachelor's level, but you could have like years of work experience. So it's like a mix and match. Sometimes you would have the bachelor's degree qualification, you would have the 1 year experience, but in certain occupation, it is not for all occupations. Most of the occupations, like for example, bachelor's degree, 1 year. Certain occupations, they also give you that number of years of experience, and then you could not have a bachelor's degree or a related, qualification in that discipline, but you could still do it. But it all depends on how your occupations has been structured in that skills assessment thing of theirs. Yeah.
Okay. So, what if my job title is different from my occupation? Can the skill assessment still work out, or are there going to be any complications?
So see, Jimmy, it's important to understand that they will look at your job responsibilities, mainly your task and duties. Because in some parts of the world, you may be called like you may be having a job title which is a bit different to other parts of the world. But your work responsibilities, task and duties, and what others would do would be pretty much similar. So basically, I'm sure the viewers must be knowing the Australian and New Zealand standard classification of occupations. The ANSCO is the main source of reference used, for example, civil engineer. Now, what a civil engineer does, you could be called like a project engineer or something related to, in terms of the title. But if you look at the task and duties, if you're doing what a civil engineer is doing as per the ANSCO classification, so the skills assessing authority will always consider you as a civil engineer related, for the assessment. So it doesn't matter if your title is a bit different to what they have on that list.
Okay. So now, using our example as a civil engineer, so I'm currently studying civil engineering. So could you walk us through the skill assessment process for a civil engineer?
Okay. So, like you mentioned, you're doing your engineering, and if you want to do a skills assessment later on, you are getting an Australian qualification. So for you, the pathways are more in terms of you are already studying an accredited qualification from an Australian university. So there's like a pathway which has like Australian qualification, and there are certain accords like Washington Accord, Sydney Accord. So you can pretty much fit in, the most appropriate one. But I think in the context of a lot of viewers who may be having offshore engineering degrees, for example, like I myself have an electrical engineering degree from India, and likewise a lot of people, they either have their degree from India or from other countries, and most of them from like the College of Science and Technology in Bhutan. So it's a 4-year engineering degree, but it is just that we are not I mean, most of us are not in those Australian qualification or in that accords like the Washington Sydney Accords that I mentioned. So we have to go through that competency demonstration report, the CDR pathway, which some of you must have heard. Now, in that CDR pathway, you're demonstrating your competence, like you're saying, okay, I am a competent civil engineer or an electrical engineer. And how do you demonstrate that? You have to write 3 career episodes. Now, the 3 career episodes, it can be built based on your work experience. Say you're working at some department, you have like done numerous projects, so you have 3 career episodes. You could write like 1 career episode based on a project that you handled, and then you demonstrate how you displayed your engineering skills to get that project done. Likewise, you can also have your projects from your engineering days. For example, as simple as some people don't have the work experience. Some people, as soon as they do engineering, they want to get their skills assessed. It is not necessary to have work experience. If you have work experience, you do that mix and match. You do like a 2 career episodes related to your work experience, 1 career episode related to your project experience during your university days. But if you don't have work experience, just do all 3 career episodes based on your the college days projects. Yeah.
Okay. Now, many applicants choose to engage a migration agent for their skills assessment, while others tend to do it themselves. Why would you recommend using a migration agent, being one yourself?
Well, if you can do it yourself, it is possible. I would say that it is not mandatory to use someone like us. But at the end of the day, if you're not confident, if you feel that certain things are not clear, you should use a migration agent, because if you're not able to tick all the boxes in terms of the requirements of the assessing authority, things may go wrong, and sometimes there are negative outcomes. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if you feel comfortable doing, if you have read all the eligibility requirements, if you have like followed everything, properly, you can go ahead.
Okay. So thank you for that information. That is it for the video today, guys. Hope you guys understood more about the skill assessment and how the processing works. If you still have any doubts or any question, please make sure to contact the number on the screen and we'll get back to you. So thank you all for watching and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
See ya.